We are at the top of the hour, so we're going to get started. Thanks to everyone who joined to our every other Friday Shippo service hours, everything that you've ever needed to know about how to get started on Shippo. So let's dive right in. Just some quick housekeeping notes for everyone. This session is being recorded, so after the session, you will get a link to this recording as well as our other recordings that we've done for this series. And then also, if you have questions, you can locate the Q&A button at the bottom of this webinar and submit any questions that you have. First and foremost, if you have any questions that you want to ask regarding your specific account, we will not be able to get to them specifically during the session, but we will get to them after. And we'll try to answer as many as we can. And for those that we cannot, we'll get to them as well after the event has ended. Okay, so real quick intro to our experts, our subject matter experts here on this panel. First and foremost, I am subbing in for Jo. I don't look like her, but she is right now tackling a bunch of stuff given the busy holiday season. Jo is the head of customer success. I'm filling in for her. My name's Jen. I'm the head of demand generation in the marketing team. Sergio, why don't you give yourself a little intro?
Yeah, excellent. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining today. So my name is Sergio. I work on the sales team. I work directly with Leon. I work with Jen as well, and then even Jo. So typically here at Shippo, I work with all sorts of our customers, more so some of the larger, mid-market enterprise customers. But I've worked with everyone from, small mom and pops to customers that have been, around for a few years, and then also some of our biggest clients as well. I've been with Shippo for just about a year. I just celebrated my year. I don't come from e-commerce or shipping. Thank you. I don't come from this world exactly, but I've learned a lot over the last year, and going from almost 0 to 100 essentially now, I do consider myself somewhat of an expert in shipping and e-commerce. So I'm just stoked to be here. I'm glad you guys joined, and I want to teach you guys a little bit more how to use Shippo.
Thanks, Sergio. I definitely, as well as many others, consider you an expert, so we're glad to have you. Leon, introduce yourself, please.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys all had an amazing Thanksgiving. My name is Leon, as Jen mentioned. I am on the marketing team here at Shippo. I've been with the company for 9 going on 10 months now, but I've been in the e-commerce space for several years prior to that. And so just really excited to be here today, really excited to teach you guys a little bit more about Shippo, the shipping industry, and how to navigate those waters, because it can be really rocky when you guys are first starting off.
All right, awesome. Okay, for those of you who don't know, obviously we want to give a little bit of a refresher as to what Shippo is. So Sergio, can you give us sort of a lowdown on the platform and what we do?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll kind of go over these highlights here. So as Shippo, essentially, we're really designed for a couple of things, and that's to pretty much save you time and money when it comes to traditional shipping, in general, not just e-commerce, retail, things of that nature. We kind of, have some type of, value for everybody. So what we do is shipping first and foremost. So we do a few things. We're able to connect to your store. We're able to print discounted shipping labels, track orders, and then manage and automate the returns. So stores, what we're really able to do is we can connect with stores. So whether that's something that's custom or something common like Shopify, Amazon, or Etsy, we give you the ability to connect to your store. That way we can mirror those orders and bring them over into Shippo, where you can next print the discounted shipping labels. So Shippo itself, we have very strategic partnerships with shipping providers such as USPS, UPS, and even DHL. So we give the ability to connect that store, bring over those orders into Shippo where you can fulfill them. You can print out the labels from the convenience of your home or your business. We cut out the middleman. We don't require you to go to these carriers to get these labels. You can do them pretty much from anywhere that has a printer. And then once you actually complete that step, we give you the ability to track the orders. So in a nutshell, it is pretty much like a shipment management system. So you can track the orders from inside of Shippo. You can see what you've done from specific carriers. You can see certain service levels. You can see specific customers, and you can get live tracking status updates from the app. And then it can even take you over to the carrier page as well if you want to see more detail. and then also after the fact. So kind of like a post-sale system. It does, things happen. You do have to accept returns. You can give the ability for your customers to have returns. So you can either automate it and provide return labels built in automatically with every outgoing shipment, or after the fact, if you find out, hey, I have to generate a return for this customer, you can find that customer order in Shippo, go to it and print out a return label manually, and then you can get it over to your customer however you'd like. So whether you're, giving it to them physically through the mail somehow, or you're just sending them over the PDF through email, there's many different ways. But again, just to kind of recap, what we do is we remove the headache from traditional shipping. We are designed to save you a little bit of time and a little bit of money in your shipping operations. You're on mute, Jen.
This is why this is live. Things are exciting during a live session. Thanks, Sergio. That was a really comprehensive explanation. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get right into it. So you signed up for us. You have some questions about how to get started. What should I start first? What's the right process in this sort of shipping journey and onboarding flow? So first and foremost, packaging. How do I choose my packaging? There's a lot of different options, a lot of different avenues. You can get a little bit overwhelmed at how to approach this. So Sergio, I'm going to punt this back over to you to help us figure that out.
Yeah, so packaging, this is super important. This is one of the steps, probably the last step you're going to take prior to making a little bit of money, right? So you've had your website, you have your product, you have your products in stock. People are starting to buy your products on your website. So now you need to figure out, how am I going to get this over to my customer? So there's a lot of things that you have to think about when you're choosing your packaging. Really, it's going to boil down to your products themselves. What is it that you're shipping? Are these things time sensitive? Are they perishable? Are they fragile? Are they small? Are they big? There's so many different factors that go into this. But again, going back to what I said earlier, we're designed to save you money. So what we want to do is we want to help you maximize the savings. So when it comes to packaging, it's very simple and straightforward. Obviously, the heavier and the bigger your packages are, the more expensive that the rates are going to be. So when choosing your packaging, you have to make sure that you are utilizing the least amount of material, which is going to equal a lighter package. And then also the less material, the smaller the package is going to be, right? So if you have items that are able to ship in polymailers as opposed to boxes, that's one of the routes that you're going to want to take. Polymailers are not only going to be smaller, and which will equal a lower rate, but it's going to be smaller for you. So if you're operating out of your broom closet, or you're operating out of a warehouse, whatever it may be, utilizing smaller packages, it's going to benefit yourself because it's taking up less space. And not only are the rates going to be cheaper, but the price for the packages themselves, it's going to be cheaper as well. I want to say the last time I looked it up, that boxes themselves are roughly about 4 times the amount of polymailers. So if your items qualify, I'm talking about things that are obviously not fragile. So if you're shipping out, shirts or, accessories, things of that nature, if you really think about it and you put it in a box and it doesn't need to go in a box, don't use a box. A polymailer is going to benefit everyone. Obviously, if you're shipping ornaments or something super fragile like an antique, or something needs to, get there accurately, you definitely want to use boxes. You want to use padding in the boxes. And then that's another thing. If you're using padding or packing peanuts to secure your items, the packages are going to be heavier. So if it is required, by all means, yes, you got to do what you got to do to get these items safely to your customers. But if not, you want to go ahead and go with some polymailers. And then also another thing to think about is your items. How far are they traveling? Do they need to get there fast? The reason why I mention that is because the conversation of flat rates comes to light. So flat rates are very important. If you're utilizing a flat rate from the United States Postal Service, you do have to use their packaging. This is something that a lot of people don't know. And it goes both ways, right? So if you want to utilize a flat rate from USPS, it has to be branded packages from USPS. And then also, if you use those boxes, you can't just send it out as a normal service level. If those boxes are in use, it does have to be a flat rate. So that's one thing you have to think about. If it makes sense, if you're sending out heavier items or going pretty far, you're probably going to most likely go with flat rate. And we're going to definitely talk a little bit more about that. So don't worry, I'm going to be very brief on the whole flat rate thing. But if you qualify for a flat rate and it makes sense, then your packaging situation is kind of figured out because you are required to use that packaging, which you can get for free online through USPS, or you can even go to your local office at your local USPS office, and you can get those flat rates for free. So that's another thing. You are going to be paying for the flat rate service level, but you are getting free packaging. So again, you want to think about that. If you're going flat rate, you're already locked in. If not, and you're going with normal priority mail or first class parcel, parcel select, then you're free to get your own packaging, which, you know, anything works. You don't need custom packaging. You don't need Shippos. We don't make materials. You don't need anything specific. You can go to Uline, which is great, very good price point, and they have everything. You can do things like Amazon, or if you want to get custom, you can even utilize packaging from Arca as well. So just to kind of bring everything full circle here, just main thing, always think about taking up the least amount of space and utilizing a package that will weigh the least, because that is going to save you the most money. Okay.
Thank you, Sergio. These are, I want to highly emphasize, super important, especially now with the holiday season. Really important to note. Okay, so moving on, you've figured out kind of your packaging, how you want to get that all set up. One of the biggest questions that we get, one of the most common questions we get is, okay, how do I figure out rates? How do I minimize my costs? What can I do to save the most money? So I'm going to actually pump this back to you, Sergio.
Perfect. So this is very important, you know, minimizing costs. On maybe a daily basis, I speak to people that their shipping rates are more expensive than the items that they're sending themselves. Normally that's because they're going directly to the carriers and they're paying retail rates, which is, you know, that's the first step that you do not want to take. But as far as minimizing costs, you want to make sure that, you know, you're not breaking the bank when it comes to shipping. And as far as answering that question specifically, how do I minimize costs? You've kind of already done the first step, which is coming to a platform like Shippo, because we're doing a lot of the work for you and we're providing you these discounted rates through the carriers from day one. These are rates that would otherwise take not only a lot of time, but a lot of volume to establish. In order to go to USPS and establish the rates that we've already done, it's going to take a lot, in the thousands of packages per month. And it's going to take some time to really build up that volume and provide the carrier with proof of that volume. So you already did step one. Step one is utilizing a platform like Shippo, because we're offering you USPS, UPS, and DHL rates from day one. And also, there is not a minimum. This is one thing that people think there is. There is no minimum. We don't require you to be a big shipper. Whether you're shipping 5 packages a month or 5,000, those two customers will get the same discounted rates, which are as deep as we can possibly get. So minimizing the cost, utilizing Shippo. And another really big thing is optimizing and dialing in your shipping and your shipping options. Don't get discouraged. This is something that does not take hours or even days. It can take weeks, and it can take months. It can even take, you know, a little bit longer than that to really dial in what works for you. And after a while, after you're shipping, you know, you've shipped 5, 10 packages, you can analyze what you're doing every month, every week, you know, where you're shipping, and you can figure out what's going to work for you. You can see right here on this picture that it has some of our rates. It has just basic like first class parcel rates, and then it also has flat rates. You want to figure out what you're going to be using. A very, very good rule of thumb here: if you're shipping anything that's under 16 ounces, which is a pound, flat rate is most likely not going to work for you. Because if you look at the chart here, the worst case scenario on the bottom right, the far right there, the worst case scenario, I think that says 570. You're paying $5.70. That's a worst case scenario. But when you go into the flat rates, the best case scenario, like even a flat rate envelope, is $7.15. So you're already spending a little bit more by utilizing that flat rate. And what a lot of people do is, some of my customers, they like to just choose flat rate because it's not going to fluctuate. It's the same for everyone. They can kind of set it and forget it. But what they don't realize is that they don't actually need flat rates. So really analyze what it is that you're shipping. You know, how far are you shipping? I mentioned this earlier, but items that are going to be heavier, under 20 pounds though, items that are going to be heavier and that are going very long distances, I'm talking California to New York, yeah, you're going to want to use flat rate because it's going to save you some money. You know, if it fits in a small flat rate or a medium flat rate, you know, worst case scenario, you're spending $13.20 with a medium flat rate. If you just go regular priority mail, and you do, a 15-pound package, a 16-pound package, it's going to be very expensive. So you want to determine what it is that I'm shipping. Do I do flat rate? Do I not do flat rate? So that's going to be one thing to really help you. If it's not, if it's not required to have custom packaging and you don't mind sending out with the USPS branded packaging, then yeah, flat rate is going to be the way to go. But again, take some time, see what works for you, see what the transit times are. If it makes sense to use just the first class options, go ahead and do that. If flat rate is going to save you some money, then that's going to be the better option as well. But again, first and foremost, coming to Shippo and getting access to our discounted rates from day one, okay?
Thanks, Sergio. Okay, now moving on. We figured out what we're going to ship. We've taken a lot of the points that Sergio brought to mind about, how long does it take to get there? Do I want to save some money? All those different kind of avenues. Now more than ever during this time, this year with the pandemic, there's going to be a lot of concern about obviously going to the post office, dropping things off. So we simplify carrier pickups. So Leon, why don't you take this away? Help us understand how we do that.
Yeah, of course. And now that we've got all that great information from Sergio, we've got our packaging picked out, we've got our label printed, it's on the box. I think naturally the next question is, how do I get this sent out? How do I get this delivered? And so do I schedule a carrier pickup or do I have to drop this off at the post office myself? And so one thing to keep in mind is that if you buy a label from Shippo, you can always drop this off at the carrier office without any additional charges. Now, given the current landscape of things and us wanting to avoid lines at the post office because of COVID, you can also schedule a pickup right within the Shippo app. And so if you look on your screen here, if you go to your shipments tab, you will see an option, a big button up there that says schedule pickup. And that's essentially how you schedule a pickup. You just fill out the information there, super simple. And a carrier workman will be on their way to pick up your package. Please keep in mind that when you do schedule a pickup, it takes somewhere from 12 to 36 hours for that package to be picked up. So if you have a package that needs to go out today, I would recommend going to the carrier office yourself. If you're shipping out more than 5 USPS packages at once, you'll be required to fill out what we call a scan or a manifest form. And what this form basically is, it's just a single sheet of paper with a barcode that contains information about all of the packages that you're shipping out in that day. And you would fill out the scan form or manifest form after creating all of your labels. And just like scheduling your pickups, you can do this from within your shipments tab. So again, if you look on the screen here, 2 buttons over from the schedule pickup button, you'll see a button that says create and manifest. One last thing to note is that when you create a manifest form, you have to create the form the same day that you're creating your labels. Meaning if I have 10 packages that are going out today, 10 packages that are going out tomorrow, I would need to create a scan form for today and a scan form for tomorrow. And so to quickly summarize all of that, there's 2 ways you can get your packages out. You can always drop it off at the carrier office, or you can schedule a pickup right within Shippo.
Thanks, Leon. So moving right along, a lot of people, especially during this holiday season, are sending stuff that, may be valuable, maybe worth thinking through of adding insurance. So can you walk us through how to actually do that within Shippo?
Right. And so as we're in the peak of holiday season, I think vendors, they tend to sell things that are either more expensive or time sensitive or both. And so as a merchant, you're going to want to protect yourself and you're going to want to protect your buyers should the package get damaged, lost, stolen, or even arrive late. And so Shippo and our carrier partners, we do provide insurance options. But before we get into Shippo specific insurance, I'd like to mention one thing. If you're shipping with USPS Priority Mail or Priority Mail Express, you'll automatically get up to $100 of coverage. Now, if you're shipping with a different carrier or you're shipping something over $100, you can simply add additional coverage right within Shippo. And so we've partnered with ShipSurance, which is one of the top logistics package and parcel insurers in the industry. They're extremely quick when it comes to turnaround times and claims because they understand how important each package is to your business and to your customers. And so the way ShipSurance works is they work directly with the carriers. So no matter what the carrier is, it's going to be the same quick and easy claims process. And so for each package or label you're creating, if you look on the screen here, you'll see an option to add insurance under shipments options, and you can add insurance of up to $10,000 of coverage. And now I know you're probably wondering, well, how much is this going to cost me? Well, it's going to cost you either 1 or 1.25% of the total coverage amount. And the difference of that, it really depends on which plan you're on. 1% for the pro plan and 1.25% for the pay-as-you-go plan. If you're shipping a lot of packages that need insurance, then going with the pro plan is probably going to save you a lot of money in the long run. And so to summarize, if you're using USPS Priority Mail or Priority Mail Express, you'll automatically get up to $100 of coverage. If you need to add additional coverage, Shippo's got you covered. Just go into the line item, go under shipments options, as you see on the screen here, check that box and just add the amount, and we'll automatically add that insurance onto your package.
So long story short, Shippo's got your back, essentially.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on, thanks, Leon. One of the things that makes Shippo, a great platform is the fact that we do have a vast carrier network. But one of the big questions that we get is, how do I figure that out? How do I approach it? How can I optimize? So Sergio, can you walk our viewers through this?
Yeah, so optimizing across multiple carriers. So again, we mentioned a few times, Shippo does offer discounted rates with USPS, UPS, and DHL. DHL is specifically for international only. But really important here, optimizing is having all these carriers turned on. Some people like to really focus on a carrier and maybe turn off one and only have one active, or have two active and not all three. But it's very important to have all of them connected, because you will miss out on any good opportunities. The reason why is because they kind of all have a specialty, if you will. So USPS, UPS, they have their own specialties, and it's very simple. So with USPS, they're a very cost-effective option. USPS is more designed for items that are smaller, not too heavy, and not exactly time sensitive. So these are things that, yes, they can take 5, 7 days, 10 days, if so, for some of the cheap rate options. So USPS, if you want to save some money, you're going to want to use them. But once you get to your heavier, bigger items and you need them to get to the customer in a timely fashion, you're going to want to use UPS. And the reason why is because they specialize in each type of package. USPS is for smaller and lighter. UPS is more designed for bigger and heavier. So when you, and you may see this live when you're actually in the platform, but if you have a package and it's let's say a 10-pound package, it's going from coast to coast, a 10-pound package from USPS can potentially be about double what it would be with UPS. And then if you swap that around, and if you do something like, let's say, a 1-pound package, if you do a 1-pound package, that same package will be double with UPS in comparison to USPS. So it's very, very important to have both of them turned on. The reason why is because we're going to provide the optimization. We are going to select the cheapest rate for you. I know that's not always the case. People aren't always looking for the cheapest rate, but the majority of people are looking for the most savings. So when you have all of these carriers turned on, you're going to be able to get the best rates. I speak to people all the time where they only have, USPS on, or they only have UPS on. And then what we do is we turn on both the carriers on the back end, and people are wasting, $10, $15 on shipping because they can get a better rate with UPS, or they can get a better rate with USPS. So being able to have all these carriers at the same time is key, because if you don't, you will miss out on rates that are either going to be cheaper or maybe even quicker. You may see a rate in USPS where the transit time is 2 to 3 days, best case. While UPS can offer 2-day air, 3-day air. We can do next day air saver. We can do next day air early, things of that nature. Another big thing I wanted to point out as well with UPS is that we waive a lot of the fees that you would otherwise get charged with some of these retail rates. So for example, fuel surcharges or even residential fees, we waive those fees. So when you're paying a rate and you see that rate in Shippo for the package, that's what you're going to be paying. You're not going to get any surprises back on your bill as far as fuel surcharges or even residential fees. So it's very, very important. And then again, remembering what we mentioned about flat rates, that's another thing to really optimize because some of those flat rate options are going to save you a ton of money. So in a nutshell here is you want to have access to all of these things. You want to have access to all of these accounts, which again, we've done the work for you. You don't need to go to UPS. You don't need to go to DHL. You don't need to open your own carrier accounts. You don't need to negotiate anything. We're going to do all of that work for you. And you want to make sure that you're utilizing all of these available rates, especially for those international sellers as well. Because when it comes to international, we're gonna have your back. There's gonna be times where USPS may not deliver to a very remote location or specific country, while DHL, DHL, that's kind of what they're known for, is really delivering everywhere. There's a lot of times when I only see DHL as an option if I'm trying to ship to, some remote island or somewhere very odd. And then there's going to be other cases where you don't get DHL or you don't get USPS and you'll only see UPS options. And if you have some of those carriers turned off, you may not get a response back, and you don't want to be in that situation where you're thinking, man, I can't print out a rate. I can't print out a label. I'm not getting a rate for this specific country. Do we not support those countries? So optimizing, make sure, just like you see there, the little toggles, have all of them green on. That way you can make sure to not miss out on any of these good rates.
Thank you very much, Sergio. You touched on an important segue, and it's a great transition actually to international delivery. So we get this question also asked quite a bit. How do I go about this? How do I do it? What if I have something this holiday season that I want to ship outside domestic lines? So Leon, can you walk us through how we do this?
Wow, that was excellent segue, Sergio. Thank you for that. And yeah, just to echo what Sergio said, we do have amazing international rates with USPS, DHL, and UPS. And there's one thing to note that in order to get your package shipped internationally, you're going to need to fill out a customs declaration form that includes information about your package, the country of origin, the country of destination, the cost of items, all this information. And so anyone that has shipped anything internationally probably understands that with all the paperwork, it can be confusing, it can be mundane, or it can be both. But Shippo makes filling out this paperwork extremely, extremely easy. And Chris, I see that you have a question about international shipping, and so let's jump right into it. And so if you're selling on an e-commerce store, once we recognize that it's an international shipment or an international order, we're going to source that information and have it automatically applied. If you're creating a one-off label or if you're doing a CSV upload, you can just add that item information to your package, and then it'll be good to go for international delivery. One thing to keep in mind is that with international delivery, duties and taxes are not included, and there's no way to calculate this prior to the shipment arriving in the country of destination. And so with that being said, there's two ways that customs and taxes are charged. It's either DDU or DDP. DDU is where the recipient is billed, and so your customers, and DDP is where the sender is billed, so you as the merchant. And so with all that being said, shipping internationally can be extremely, extremely confusing with all of the paperwork, but if you're using Shippo and you're selling on an e-commerce platform, we make that extremely easy. And if you're not selling on an e-commerce platform, we also make adding that information right within our platform very, very, very simple. If you look on the screen here, this is typically what you will see when you're adding customs information. And as you can see, it's not a lot. You just fill out the information and you're good to go.
Awesome. Thanks, Leon. Okay, so just a quick side note, I'm seeing a lot of really great questions come in. Be sure to submit them in the Q&A window so that our subject matter experts can get to them in a timely fashion and get them answered specifically for you guys. All right, so back to our session. So everything's packaged up. We've chosen kind of the shipping options that we want. For me, I'm generally an impatient person in all things life. So as soon as something gets shipped out, I want to know, when is my package coming? Leon, how do our folks know when their shipments are coming? How do we let them know?
Yeah, and you're not alone, Jen. I think a lot of us, when we order something online, the first thing we're looking for is the order confirmation and the tracking information and when that package is going to arrive. And so one of the amazing things about Shippo is that when you create a label, every label created will automatically have a tracking number associated, which you can then send to your customers. And there's essentially two ways that you can send out this information to your customers. The first way is through your e-commerce platform. So whether you're selling on Shopify or WooCommerce, Shippo will source the information about the shipment into your e-commerce platform so that that tracking information and that delivery confirmation is communicated to your customers. The second way is that you can send out these notifications in Shippo. So as long as you have the email address in Shippo, you can send out a notification at the time of label creation, as well as when the package is actually delivered. You can set this up to go out automatically, or you can manually trigger them in a one-off situation. And so to quickly summarize that, there's two ways that you can send out tracking notifications, whether that's through your platform or through Shippo. But either way, it's a great way to keep your customers informed about when their package is being sent and when it's arriving.
Cool. All right, so moving on. For me, I can tell you that one of the reasons why I am brand loyal to certain, options, merchants, is the way that they handle returns. I think easy returns is kind of statistically a big indicator of, customer satisfaction. So Shippo does this really well. So back to you, Leon. Can you walk us through how we handle this?
Yeah, and returns can be very tricky and sometimes even an unpleasant experience for both the merchants and their customers. But it doesn't have to be, because merchants can really use return as a branding experience to increase their customers' lifetime value. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you've ever ordered anything from Nike, you'll see that they include a prepaid return label. And so if anything doesn't fit, you can quickly send it back hassle-free. And what that really does on the back end is that, well, if you're easily able to return an item, you're more likely to purchase from that merchant themselves, right? And so it's a great way to build customer value. And so when it comes to returns, Shippo has you covered in two ways. The first way is to simplify your returns process by simply creating a scan-based return label with your outgoing packages. And what a scan-based return label is basically a return label that isn't charged to you unless it is scanned or used. And so really, really great and easy process to include that with outgoing packages should you want to do that. But in the event that you don't, you can also create return labels in a one-off basis. And so you can create return labels directly from your orders dashboard. You can then generate a PDF, which you can send to your customers for super simple returns.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. So we are now approaching the home stretch of our session. We get a lot of these questions as well too. I sell on eBay, I sell on Shopify, a lot of questions around integrations and connecting the many stores that we have access to. So Sergio, can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so this is very important, because our one of the 50% of our value is being able to automate the process, connecting your store, and minimizing any manual work, copy and pasting. So connecting your store is very important if you do have an online presence and you have some type of tech stack. So connecting your store is very simple. There's kind of two sides to it as well. So we have a process that will walk you through the connection initially. So if you have not created a Shippo account and you create one today, it will walk you through the process of connecting your store step by step. It's going to ask you, are you on a store? It's going to ask you, which store are you on? And then just simply ask for the credentials and it'll create the connection. If you already have a Shippo account right now and you maybe skip that step, or maybe it's like an old account, you can go into your settings, you can go into stores, and then on the top right, it says connect a store. Once you connect a store, and it's actually on the GIF right here, it's showing you exactly what I'm mentioning. It will ask you to choose the store and then enter simply username, password, and possibly permissions. Some of them might be a slightly more complicated as far as asking for maybe an API key from either the store or Shippo. But again, it's going to give you a tutorial. It's going to walk you through. We're not going to leave you in the dark. We're going to explain like what these things mean and where you can find them and how to make the connection. So what you can do, again, walk through the process in your settings, connect your store. And once the store is connected, if you have orders, they'll automatically start flowing into Shippo. If you have a ton, you have thousands of orders, could take a little bit. If you just have, a few hundred, 20, 30, it's going to be almost instantaneous. So after a few minutes, you'll start to see them go in there. So there's a few options. We have different options of working with different kinds of customers, because there's people that do have an online presence. They have, the Wix, they have Shopify, they have Amazon, some of the common players, or maybe they have something that's older, antiquated, or something that we just don't support. But we do have options for everyone. If we don't have a direct integration with the store that you have, we have a few options. We can either get those orders from your store, we can export them as a CSV, and then we can upload that CSV into Shippo. It will take a little bit of time. There is slight manual work, but once you do that, those orders will flow into Shippo, and it will be as if you did make a connection. So something that is just not supported, we give you the ability for CSV, or we can also do those orders manually. So in Shippo, when you go to your orders page on the top right, there is a button to just create a manual label out of thin air. You can get that information, whether it's over the phone, whether it's through an email, or maybe it's just info you have somewhere. You can add that and create a manual order. So without having to do any type of connection or upload. And then the last step, which is for more more of the complicated or custom solutions that our customers have created, is we do offer API. We do have a Shippo API that you can utilize to make a connection. So maybe you have something that you've built yourself with your team, or maybe it's even Shopify or Square and you want something custom and you want different capabilities. We do offer an API to connect into a store that is not supported, or something custom that you've built. Or maybe you run everything through QuickBooks or some type of accounting software or some type of warehouse management system. We do offer the API to connect that. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit more complicated. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a real developer who knows code, who knows how to make the connection to do that. But just know that we do have that option. Typically, it's more for our enterprise customers or some of the larger ones that have built something out. So those are a few ways. And again, don't get discouraged if you say, hey, I don't have a store. I don't work online. I take orders over the phone, or people walk into my brick and mortar and they place orders, they send them out. We have a solution for everyone. The very, very, worst case scenario is you're just creating them manually within Shippo, which can take a little bit of time, but we give you the ability to do that. So everyone, whether you have an online presence, you're a mom and pop, you're just starting out, maybe you're still trying to determine which store you have, we do have a solution, okay?
Well said, Sergio. And just to emphasize and piggyback off of what he said, no matter what situation, we've got an option for you. And at best, if there is a platform that you don't see that you wish to request a connection with, our product team is always looking at these new integrations and filling them into our roadmap. Okay, so before we move to some live Q&A, again, reminder, please submit any questions at this time to the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get to as many as we can. And then as a reminder, everyone who attended this session or registered will get a recording of this, as well as a link to our entire playlist of recordings to help you with any questions that you have on onboarding, as well as links to some other resources that will be helpful in your shipping journey. So I believe Leon and Sergio have been fervishly answering questions as they come in, but I'm going to punt it over to Sergio and Leon to see if there's any that they can answer live at this moment before we end the session.
Yeah, definitely. And just really quick before you get into the questions, just wanted to throw this out there, give everyone a little bit of an update as far as Shippo goes. Right now we are actually free for all of our customers that are shipping under 5,000 packages per month. This is a promotion we've had going on for the last few months. It's somewhat of a COVID-19 assistance program. So we're trying to help some of the smaller businesses out there by offering Shippo for free. So whether you're on a pay-as-you-go plan or you're on one of our pro tiers, all of the Shippo related fees are waived until January 1st. You're only going to pay for the postage right now. So you're going to be paying for the actual rates, but the Shippo platform is free. Definitely a great time to utilize right now, especially, with Black Friday that just occurred, or that's occurring, I should say. And then also the holidays, if your volume is going up, really take advantage of this because you're going to save a ton of money by not paying for Shippo. So we'll kind of jump into the questions here. We'll let them pop up until about 11:45. So we'll try and get to as many as we can. I'll start here at the top. Deborah Broad, I believe. How about refund from carriers? I read that UPS might require separate mechanisms for refund. Is it true? Is there a separate API on the UPS side, or can we invoke some API on the Shippo side? I'm not really I'm not really sure what you're asking exactly there. I mean, as far as offering refunds, you can go to any label that you've generated in Shippo, whether it's USPS or UPS, and you can just request a refund. It will go through the carrier, will go through Shippo. You don't have to do anything with the carrier. It will take 14 days to credit back to your account. So you will get that refund back on the account as a credit. So it won't go back onto the card on file, but it will go back as a credit. You can just get a refund directly, okay? Photos, can I integrate? So ClickFunnels, yeah, I believe if you go to Zapier, you just Google Zapier, ClickFunnels Shippo. There should be a connection there. And if not, you can create one. The way Zapier works, it's not like Zapier or Shippo or ClickFunnels. It's actually the user, the end user that can create these integrations. It's a drag and drop UI, and you can create zaps, they call them. So yeah, you can create an integration that will tell ClickFunnels or Shippo, do this when ClickFunnels does that. Or if something comes through ClickFunnels as a customer or an order, create a label in Shippo. So yeah, definitely recommend doing a little bit more research, just seeing through Zapier what the relationship is with ClickFunnels at the moment. If it's not established, you can definitely create it, okay? And again, Deborah Brada, can we trigger multiple manifest scan requests for a particular day because we might have a long list of packages? I mean, yeah, you can create a manifest. So let's say you create, you create 20 orders. You create 20 orders and you create a manifest. You can create a manifest for that, those 20 orders. And if you create 20 more, you can create another manifest for you. As far as scheduling the pickups, I'm not sure how that would work exactly, like, logistically, because there is a window. I believe it's like a 12-hour window. So what you want to do, you probably want to avoid having multiple manifests. You probably want to make all the labels and create all your shipments for the day, and then create a manifest for those shipments. And then the next day, do your next batch, which as far as I'm concerned, I mean, as long as they can like fit into the truck or the van, whatever it is that's picking up, it shouldn't be a problem if you have, 50 or 100 packages. Okay. And Leon, do you want to answer Taylor's question there?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there are two plans when you join Shippo. We have the pay-as-you-go plan, which is just 5 cents per label on top of shipping costs. There's no subscription or monthly fees. All you have to do is just pay 5 cents per label generating. The other plan we have is the professional plan. This is a monthly subscription plan based on your monthly shipping volume. And so for more detailed breakdown of that pricing, I would visit our pricing page, where it'll show you exactly how much you would pay depending on your shipping volume.
Cool. Just trying to answer some of these live as well. So let's see here, Kim. I think you just answered essentially the fees after the promotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Kim started subscription. Will Shippo need to be integrated through that app, or will it just go through Shopify? So it really depends, because I know Shopify pretty much has plugins for subscriptions. So you can add a subscription plugin into Shopify, and that will create like a subscription model. And what it does is it triggers, like, let's say it's a monthly thing, that customer, they have an order in the beginning, it will create an order. As long as that order is created, it will flow into Shippo where you can fulfill. And then the Shopify side with that plugin will prompt the subscription again. So let's say it's every 30 days. That plugin will take care of generating the order as a subscription. So as long as that order is generated again at whatever interval it is, then we will recognize it as an order. But please understand that all of this is on the side of e-commerce. So whether you have a plugin or whether it's Shopify that's generating the orders and creating that logic, we will recognize that logic. And as long as it creates another order for the subscription, we will read it as another order, okay? But we won't really involve ourselves in creating any type of flow or logic when it comes to Shopify or any other e-commerce platform, okay? Thanks, Kim.
All right, we got a question from David here. When are we charged for shipping? At the time of label print, at the time the carrier scans in the package. So the way that billing works for Shippo is that you don't need to prepay anything into the account. You are billed for either every 7 days or every increment of $100, whichever comes first. The only exception to this rule is when you first start on Shippo, you will be billed for your first $25. So just to summarize that, you'll be billed for each increment of $100 or every 7 days, whichever comes first.
Cool. So another one from Deborah Brada. The manifest wiki mentions as a certified carrier partnership will automatically manifest packages for you if the carrier supports it. When will we need to create? So again, I think I answered this again. So with the way it works with UPS and DHL, it's all digital. So or electronic, I should say. So with UPS, if you create a label for UPS and Shippo, it communicates to UPS that label has been created. And then also if you create another 4, 5, 6, 7, so when UPS comes in, they don't have to scan them because it's already sent that information to UPS. So all UPS needs to do is pick up those packages. But USPS, no. If you do not create a manifest for USPS and your driver comes in, they will have to scan 50 packages individually if there's no manifest. UPS does it electronically, okay? And
all right, I think we're at the 15 till, so we see a lot of questions still coming in. We'll answer these after the session. We'll connect. A few of you wrote in about being connected specifically with the support a CS rep, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we will be again sending the entire transcript, any relevant documentation, and this recording within the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, I just want to give a big, huge thanks to both Sergio and Leon for walking us through the finite details of how to get set up and all the workings of Shippo. Really, really appreciate it. And we're gonna close up shop here. So happy belated holiday to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you at the next session.